Ngonga amenipa changamoto kubwa, na hasa aliposema kwamba kuna agizo la Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki kuanza kutumika kwa wakati. Sasa lakini si hilo tu, pia kwa ufasaha wa Kiswahili chake. Lakini kwa wale wasomaji vizuri, Mheshimiwa Spika Martin Ngonga ameishi sana Tanzania na amesoma mpaka chuo kikuu, kuanzia sekondari mpaka chuo kikuu cha Dar es Salaam. Kwa hiyo kuwa spika wa Bunge la Afrika Mashariki na kuwa balozi wa kutumia Kiswahili ni mtu sahihi. Lakini Mheshimiwa Rais, nilisha kuomba radhi kwamba mimi sikujiandaa kuzungumza Kiswahili. Kwa hiyo naomba pia uniruhusu niwaombe radhi wajumbe wengine waalikwa waliohudhuria hapa, lakini nami naahidi unless pale itakuwa inahitajika na itakuwa lazima, pengine hii itakuwa ndio hotuba yangu ya mwisho kutumia Kiingereza. Your Excellency Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar and Chairman of the Revolutionary Council, Right Honorable Martin Ngonga, East African Legislative Assembly Speaker, Engineer Zena Ahmed Said, Secretary to the Revolutionary Council and Chief Secretary to the Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar, Honorable Ministers present, Dr. Islam Saif Salum, Principal Secretary, Ministry of Trade and Industrial Development, Zanzibar, Madam Jirika Amri also, Chairperson of Pan-African Center for Policy Studies, our host, Regional Commissioner, Idrissa Kitwana Mustafa, distinguished person of this forum delegates and business leaders, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Your Excellency also wants to recognize special recognitions of former Minister of Trade and Industry, Ambassador Amina Salumwali, who is here today, but also members from East African Legislative Assembly who are here today with us. Your Excellency, we are very glad that you could spare some time to be with us this morning. We always treasure memories of your presence among us. Coming from Dodoma this morning, knowing the fact that you have had a busy week this week, but you still managed to join us. Your Excellency, the task assigned to me this morning is to welcome you to give your keynote address to the participants. But with your permission, Mr. President, allow me to speak a few issues regarding the theme of these symposiums, which is a wider topic on women in intra-Africa trade. But for the purpose of the symposiums, it will focus on overcoming organizational challenge for a successful implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Your Excellency, intra-African trade is a key to economic transformation of the continent. This is the reason why on 18th Ordinary Session of Assembly of Heads of States and the government held in Addis Ababa from 29th to 30th of January 2012, the decision was adopted to create Continental Free Trade Area, CFTA. And later, the agreement was presented in Kigali for signature during the extraordinary summit. Your Excellency, as of today, the total of 49 out of 55 AU member states signed the consolidated text of FCTA agreement. 47 signed the Kigali Declaration and 30 signed the Protocol of Free Movement. Currently, 38 countries have deposited their instruments of AFCFTA ratification with the Chairperson of African Union Commission, while 41 countries have complied with their domestic requirements for the ratification of AFCFTA agreement. I have the pleasure to inform the participants that the United Republic of Tanzania has ratified the agreement. Your Excellency, I want to thank you personally for your leadership on this matter. When I presented the agenda of AFCFTA agreement to the Cabinet as a newly appointed minister by then, you were very positive and keenly interested. However, you gave us firm instructions to work on. One is to ensure that we strategize to benefit from the opportunities and the privileges associated with the Continental Free Trade Area. Second, Zanzibar should not become dumping place for products coming from other African nations within the continent. And third, our manufacturers become competitive players of the intra-African trade. You emphasize that African Continental Free Trade Area should, for Tanzania, be a manufacturing zone and not just a trading zone. Otherwise, we would have succeeded in creating a well-organized consumption zone for imported raw materials, machineries, and equipment from others. Your Excellency, I strongly believe that this vision, as enshrined in our development agenda, is possible, and there is a clear path toward achieving it. How do we get there? Greater effort will be needed by African nations to improve coordination, interagency cooperation, ensure stability of the policy environment, and avoid reversals to assure investors. Let's change our perspective away from simply import substitution to high-value export-oriented manufacturing. The source of our greater wealth will come from having strong manufacturing capacity for competitiveness in regional trade and integration into global value chain. African countries, including Tanzania, have had the policies, templates, and programs for industrializations and expanding industrial manufacturing for decades. Our national development plans emphasize industrializations. They are well good policies, but there is a need to close a huge gap between policy ideas and implementation. It's time to change from being inward-looking to outward-looking. Let us be bold. Let us rise with greater ambition. Let us from the inside prepare for this greater future for Africa, a dominant African nation in global manufacturing. Vietnam has done it. Malaysia has done it. Singapore has done it. China has done it. This is African time. This is women time. Let's make it happen. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of women in inter-African trade and how we can overcome the organizational challenges for a successful implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, member states have role on this. They are expected to develop national implementation strategies to operationalize the AFCFTA agreement. Government must mainstream gender and youth into these strategies, while gender and youth sensitivity trade policies must be developed and implemented to ensure that these groups are able to leverage the transformation potentials of trade expansions under AFCFTA. At our ministry level, we shall give consideration to the sensitivity of this issue when we advise on policy and enacting laws relating to trade. It is also imperative for women and youth to be at the center of trade policy analysis, deliberations, and negotiations at the national and regional level, which is critical to promoting their effective participations and meaningful engagement in trade process. And I believe Honorable Speaker of East African Legislative Assembly will agree that women in the Parliament have an active role to play on this. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I have learned from today's program that these issues will be debated here on its bigger picture. I believe you will also pose critical challenges to our panelists in your keynote address, which we all wait to hear. Therefore, without any further ado, let me at this point humbly welcome you to address the audience, Your Excellency. I thank you for your kind attention.